It's Friday, March 18, 2016, and let's talk about what happened this week over at xdadevelopers.com. First up, a bunch of Galaxy S7 news, because that's what I know you guys are all here for. Biggest story, very interesting one. Somebody discovered deep down inside of the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge, there's a way to change the DPI scaling. You actually have to download the Nova launcher, go into the widgets and add a new activity. It's not a hugely involved process, but once you do it, you get access to this new hidden activity that allows you to take it from stock to condensed. Now, looking at the screenshots of it, there's not a huge amount of difference between the two, except when there's a lot of text on the screen. That's when it really seems to shine, in that it compresses things down a whole lot more, moves it all up the screen, gives you an awful lot more on the screen. When it's just icons and pictures and things, those don't seem to make that big of a difference. It's, it's pixels. But if you do prefer things to be squashed down a little bit more to get more on the screen, and you've got the S7 or S7 Edge, you probably want to look at this. It was also discovered that you can enable adoptable storage on the S7 or S7 Edge. You just have to have ADB access to the device, and there's a list of commands for how to do it. It's a teeny bit involved, and you have to decide how you want to partition it and everything, but it is definitely doable. So if you want that adoptable storage and your SD card's fast enough, there's a link down below you can get more info. Samsung also rolled out the source code for the Exynos-based S7 Edge, which is like a very small portion of the puzzle, but still, it's a start. And in a bit of bad news, apparently the T-Mobile-based S7 and S7 Edge have locked bootloaders. They both have Qualcomm Secure Boot enabled, and they have Secure Download enabled. Developers are digging into it. They're trying to figure out if there's a way around it, and John Legere, the CEO of T-Mobile, has made it his personal mission. He's gonna get Samsung involved and get this worked out. It ain't gonna happen. If anybody's gonna do anything about it, XDA developers are gonna be the people to do something about it. I'll just tell you right now. So be on the lookout in the forum if you have the T-Mobile version. Hopefully something will change. In terms of device announcements, Oppo rolled out a couple of new devices. The R9 and R9 Plus, they're both relatively mid-range devices. They're both running Android 5.1, but since they're Oppo devices, they have the VOOC quick charging built in, which is very nice. And they're gonna come in at $430 or $505, depending on which one you want. For a mid-range device, that's asking a little bit much. LG's rolling out a couple of new devices as well, the K5 and K8. Both extremely low-end devices, although their site says mid-range. One of them has Lollipop, one of them has Marshmallow, and no pricing or availability as known, although they keep saying affordable price point. So I'm guessing this is intended to be budget phones, but again, they don't actually have anything in the article here about the price, other than the fact that it's going to be a great price. Good to know. And while they were at it, LG also announced an SDK and an HDK, hardware development kit, for the LG G5. They are pushing hardcore, trying to get people developing for the LG G5. They want more of these friends, as they call them, and without having a playground, as they're calling it, for all of these friends to play in together, the G5 is basically just going to be a plastic phone with a slot that has an LG thing in the end of it that you're going to have to pay LG more for more devices to go in. The G5 definitely has a lot of potential, especially if third-party OEMs decide to get into the foray about it, but there's a part of me that's saying for this one device that they're going to end up replacing in a year, unless they say, yes, we're going to be sticking to this for the long term, this design, this modularity, there's not going to be a whole lot developed for it. I'm sorry to be pessimistic, but that's the way it is. Fossil rolled out a couple of new Android Wear devices, the Q Wander and Q Marshall. Q Wander is a 44mm, more elegantly designed, more classy, if you will, Android Wear device. And the Marshall's 46mm and a little bit more rugged, a little bit more masculine, I suppose. And again, no pricing or availability information. Companies are more and more just saying, hey, we're making a product, and then maybe. And speaking of companies saying that they're making products and then not doing it, the Verizon and Sprint variants of the Nextbit Robin have officially been canceled. I cannot say that I'm surprised in the slightest. From the article it says, due to time and expense of producing a CDMA version, they've just gone ahead and scrapped it. I added that last part. So if you were on Verizon or Sprint and were planning to get the Nextbit Robin, sorry. On to some better news. There's been smatterings here and there, both in the code and in the documentation of Android N, that Google may actually be working on a sort of a desktop variant of Android. They're not calling it desktop, they're calling it freeform Windows, which would be kind of like the pop-out windows we've seen on a lot of devices, but the screenshots that I saw from whatever site I happened to see them on looked like a desktop. So you had a bar at the bottom and you had Windows up above it. Very cool concept. I know a lot of different OEMs are already doing this. Remix OS has been doing this for a while. So it would be nice to see that kind of functionality inside of Android if you wanted to have something that was more akin to a traditional laptop. Moving on to some actual development related stuff though. The first stable version of CM13 is now available, and looking at their site, they've got a big build roster for their evening building there, which was 2 days ago, so hopefully those devices have been built. It's a list of probably 20 or 25 devices, so make sure to check over on their site to see if your device is supported, and if not, they've got 4 different scenarios for how you can actually update to 13, so just check out their site for more details. Chainfire has rolled out a new version of Super SU, version 2.69, to work with the Android N preview. The AT&T LG V10 has officially been rooted, and that's apparently after the Verizon variant was rooted already. That's thanks to XDA senior member Tongue Kick. If you're on one of those devices, awesome. A temporary root measure was discovered for the AT&T Galaxy S6. Being that it's temporary, it means that if you do it and then you reboot, you're going to lose it. So if you want to make any sort of changes to it, you can do it and then you go back to being unrooted, which is both a good and a bad thing. The Flux app has made its way into the Google Play Store. It's still a little bit early and it is a root-only application and it only works on Lollipop and Marshmallow, possibly earlier but not guaranteed. So if you meet all of those criteria and you want to use this app to change the colors on your display so that you can sleep better at night, that's the theory, head on over to the Play Store. Twerp 3 has been officially ported over to the Nextbit Robin, so if you're running it and of course you're not on Verizon or Sprint, head on over to the forum and pick that up. And anyway, to wrap things up, 3 other videos were posted to XDA TV this week. Well, 2 and then 1 right before I posted the video on last Friday. So the XDA/Android podcast 15 went up after I had made the video last week. A video wrapping up and summing up last week's Tasker Week went up, and then TK did an app review of Universal Copy. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up there for today. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to thumbs up this video if you liked it, and subscribe to receive more when they become available. We'll see you again next time.